How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the economics of YouTube and Twitch. As many of you know, I've been around this game for a very long time, since pretty much the beginning, since the Wild West days. As you can see, put on my Machinima t-shirt, a relic from a bygone era. And not only do I have that, I have this, my original unsigned Machinima contract. Now, you may be wondering, why is it not signed? Well, it's because your boy Zyback was pretty smart at age 15. I negotiated my first contract. One of the few smart things I've done. So, been in this game for a very, very long time. And I got to say, anybody that is familiar with the business landscape of YouTube and Twitch is not surprised in the slightest that G4TV failed. I'm honestly shocked they tried it at all. To call G4TV... To call their relaunch a failure is really an understatement. This was a failure. This was a cataclysmic, biblical failure. I haven't seen anybody fail as hard as this. Like, major media companies have not failed as hard as this. This was immense. They had 75 employees, some of these being executive salaried employees, an entire warehouse studio. They were paying Amaranth like $30,000 a day to appear on their network. And nobody watched. And when I mean nobody was watching, I really mean nobody was watching. My dead YouTube channel was pulling better numbers than G4TV. And that is bizarre, because I remember as a child watching G4TV at home on the couch, and to think that I am somehow, at least in some way, more successful than they are is wild. And I gotta say, first of all, I am not rolling in the money. Please, if you're enjoying the content, become a YouTube member. I'm still trying to make this work myself. But dude, nobody cared. Like, this wasn't even close, remotely close to becoming a viable product. What was the business model even supposed to be? They could have had 20 times the viewership and it still would have failed. If G4TV was a guy, if it was just a guy making YouTube videos in his apartment, that'd have been fine. But this was a major corporate-backed YouTube channel with 75 employees and production and healthcare and all this stuff, 401k, like, man. So as I said previously, I have been around this game for a while. Let's take a little walk down memory lane and talk about YouTube networks. Let's talk about IGN. IGN are the kings. In my opinion, they are sitting on the Iron Throne through the sheer fact that they have outlasted and outadapted everybody else. They are still making quite a bit of original content. I have noticed they have shifted away from on-screen talent and hosts and like doing stuff in studios. They seem to have almost shifted to like a freelance model where they probably just have like people working all over and making videos here and there and putting them up on the IGN channel. But they actually have original content, and it seemingly is doing pretty well. And they've probably shifted to this model because it's easier to create cheap content, and it seemingly is doing pretty well. So IGN still surviving, hanging in there. And what do they have? How is IGN pulling it off? How have they managed to survive this long? Well, they have a pretty solid product. Honestly, it's easy to clown on IGN, but they do cover game news pretty well, and they cover a wide variety of it. If you want to know about Call of Duty, they got you. If you want to know about, I don't know, the newest single-player game, they probably got you. They have a standalone website that is pretty popular. People go there for reviews. People go on their forums. But the big one, what's the big thing they've got? They have an ad sales team. They sell targeted advertisement to their viewers. Back in the day, Machinima and IGN were competing for talent. IGN was going to be creating their own MCN at one point before the YouTube tide shifted. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, dude, IGN was offering some serious money, and I was almost pulled over to their side before the tides changed. So IGN has always been real good at selling ads. So that brings us to Machinima. That's who I rep for the longest time, man. They sent me all kinds of shit, and honestly, Machinima, I had a very positive experience with them. It is kind of surreal that everything about that network is gone. The entire YouTube catalog is gone off of YouTube. Machinima was sold to Warner Brothers, and then Warner Brothers just basically shut it down. It really truly was the end of an era. Machinima were the undisputed kings of YouTube, and it's crazy to think they are entirely gone now. They had the biggest network, the most eyeballs, and man, everybody was making money. Everybody was making a lot of money. The guys at the top making a ton of money, but even the guys working for them, everybody, it really was a case where the rising tide raised all boats. Now, some people will say, oh my God, Machinima made so much money off the backs of their creators. And yes, they did. But their creators also made more money than if they weren't with Machinima. It's not like they were getting exploited and oh man, if they were off on their own, they would have made more money. No, that was not what was happening at all. Machinima, they really did offer something that nobody else did. First of all, they let you monetize your videos to begin with as a gaming YouTuber, which was not a thing. What's so crazy, what a lot of people don't know is that YouTube was very, very anti-gaming for the longest time, which is crazy to think of nowadays because it's the #1 category on YouTube, and we have YouTube gaming, and now they're really focusing on it. But they did not even have a gaming category. You had to categorize your video as entertainment. It did not used to exist. They did not want you making gaming videos on their website. They didn't let you monetize gaming videos. And then Machinima came along, and then they represented all of the gaming YouTubers. And if you wanted to monetize your gaming videos, you had to go through Machinima or a few other people, but mainly Machinima was the leader in this. So that's where everybody made their money. And not only did Machinima let you monetize your videos, they also sold ads specifically against your videos, meaning that if a movie came out and they wanted to hit that 18 to 24 age of gamers, then Machinima would sell those ads, and those ads sold very, very well, which is what allowed Machinima to pay out the $2, $3, $4, $5 CPMs. At that time, it sounds like that's real bad today because Google AdSense is much more improved, but YouTube did not pay that well. YouTube did not sell ads on their own, which was we'll get to that in a second, but Machinima really was kind of the place to make money. Another thing Machinima did that was really smart is they had hub channels. They had Machinima Realm, Machinima Respawn, and the Machinima main channel. So this is where people would put their best stuff. You had all of these YouTubers and all of these different people putting all of their best stuff on the Respawn channel or the Realm channel. And naturally, all the viewers would congregate there because every video at that time was a banger. Now, obviously, compared to today's quality of YouTube videos, those videos suck. But at the time, man, everybody's best stuff was going on the Machinima channels. And all the viewers were on the Machinima channels. It was a win-win. Machinima got your best videos, and you got all of the exposure from the Machinima videos. I remember my first Feral Druid Battleground video I put on the Machinima channel. I got 5,000 subscribers in 24 hours because everybody was coming over from that video. It was fantastic. It was a win-win. Everybody won. I got paid for the video. Those videos at that time paid pretty well. Machinima at the time was giving out pretty good amounts of money for posting on their channel, and those videos got a lot of views and you got a lot of subscribers. I really don't know anybody that complained about that particular situation. Then Machinima actually lets you partner your own individual channel. This was huge because, again, as a gaming YouTuber, you could not be a YouTube partner. Even just having the banner, the YouTube banner, and the other partner features and being able to make thumbnails, there was a lot of stuff that you just couldn't do back then if you weren't a YouTube partner. And Machinima and other MCNs were the only way you could do that. And then finally, the ad sales. Machinima would sell pre-roll advertisements on your channel, meaning that that thing that you click 5 seconds and you click the skip now. Machinima itself would actually sell those on your channel. And this was before Google really did that. If you were with Machinima, you were, for the most part, just making more money than if you were off on your own because you had a team selling ads against your content. And unless you signed some sort of insane, one-sided contract that was truly atrocious, you were making more money than you would if you were on your own. So back in the 2010s, we had a bunch of YouTube networks called MCNs, multi-channel networks, and those, for the most part, are all entirely gone. IGN is no longer really pursuing the MCN thing. They still exist. Machinima, entirely gone. TGN, basically entirely gone. The Game Station, gone. Maker Studios, basically gone. I don't know of any MCN that even exists anymore. Genuinely, I don't know of any that exists anymore. They might still exist, but they are certainly not selling their own pre-roll ads or doing anything like they used to back in the 2010s. So what changed? Why did all these go away? Why did all these networks and like produced YouTube channels and things like that go away? Well, first of all, YouTube changed. YouTube heavily nerfed multi-channel networks. YouTube started letting gaming videos get monetized. They created a gaming category. They started letting gaming channels get partnered. But the biggest thing that changed is that Google's ad sales team got much, much better. In the past, a guy from Machinima was selling ads against your content, and he would do a much better job than Google, because Google just they did a really bad job. They didn't give a shit. You'd get like those terrible little pop-up ads, and that's all you'd get. You wouldn't get like a movie trailer. That never happened. But then Google stepped their game up, and you can still have an MCN sell ads against your content, but they just can't compete because they have to give Google their split. And then they have to make so much money on top of that that it has to be worthwhile to pay the ad sales guy's salary and you. It just doesn't make sense. They cannot compete with the scale of Google selling their own ads. So naturally, all the MCNs just died because they can't pay the bills if they can't sell the ads. Now, there probably are some YouTube collective networks that still exist that maybe do brand deals, but they are in nowhere near the same level that they were in the past. It's like the Jedi after Order 66. Like, there might still be some Jedi, but they are not like they used to be. There are some organizations that I think can make sense, especially ones that are around personalities. For example, like the OTK Twitch network. That makes sense because it's more of a negotiating thing to have the entire group of those streamers that are all, similar, working together. When they all come together, they genuinely may be greater than the sum of their parts. A perfect example, a perfect like analog to OTK would kind of be like the cast of the TV show Friends, where the Friends actors were very smart in that they collectively negotiated because they know that individually they can be replaced, but the group can't. That's kind of how I think of OTK and how they leverage all of their collective personalities to brands like Mountain Dew or whatever. There's a lot more power there. So I think in that case, it works for them. But that's at a much smaller. OTK is a much smaller scale than, say, like Machinima. They're much more precise with something like OTK than like a Machinima or an IGN or a TGN or a Maker Studio. I'm not sure that you can just have a shotgun network anymore, or really a network in general. The only network that I see, like the only online media network I see that's truly blowing up and trying to do something different, and I'm not even sure if it'll work, is the Daily Wire. They are like a conservative entertainment company. I'm not sure what they label themselves as. The Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh group trio, those guys. They are doing their own little thing. They're trying to make their own original content with like kids shows and they're trying to do a bunch of crazy shit. Honestly, not sure if it'll work, but they do have an interesting angle and they have a few things working for them that's a little different than something like a G4 or an IGN has. First of all, they don't really have a lot of competition. Like, nobody's really doing what they're doing. They have like Fox News, which is not really the same. They have an older audience that monetizes probably a lot better. They're just a bunch of like older people that are willing to spend money on their product and pay for shit. And naturally with like political content, it's more like team oriented. It's a bit more like sticky because it's like ideological. People are more likely to tune in and come back and be heavily invested in that type of content versus like a a G4TV game review, like you're not going to watch a G4TV game review and be like, oh man, like you don't have that same emotional attachment to something like that. Whereas if they make some sort of documentary, that may make you want to come back even more. So, those are the only two. And those are almost like cult of personality. It's very different. The landscape is very different. As fun as it is to dunk on G4TV for literally going woke and then immediately going broke, just like the meme, I think that Frost and Adam Sessler and all of the woke garbage, while it didn't help them and it turned away a lot of people, I think that it was a sink full of dirty dishes in a house that was already on fire. I just don't know what the business plan was for G4TV. When you could 10x your audience and still not become financially viable, like what was the strategy? I don't know. I just don't get how it even happened in the first place. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I think this was just doomed from the start. I just can't believe they even tried. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. See you next time. Have a good one. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to subscribe with notifications on. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and join the Discord. It's free.